The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and boy, oh boy, we got a great show for you. So much jam-packed this week, and I think this is going to be more powerful than a Nazem Kadri hit from behind. Boys, I'm going to start with you. Greg Buchanan, my co-host. How are you?
Not too bad. Kadri hit from behind, really?
Well, I'm just saying, unexpected, we're laying the boom on the people. And of course, our guest this week, BRAD CRUIKSHANK, your team, the Lloydminster Border Kings, you're their head coach. Got a big provincial playoffs coming up.
Yeah, we're excited, and hopefully we can pull off a couple big wins on the weekend and get off to a good start.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe you want to take a page of the Seattle SEAHAWKS a little bit. Not necessarily tackle everybody on the ice, but, you know, show that physicality, especially on the defensive side. Because, boy, oh boy, were they amazing. I don't know if you guys got to manage to see the entire thing. I know there was a definite lull in the second half. But you look at the Broncos offense, who were coming in very deadly. They had 5 guys with 10 touchdowns or more. They looked like the team of destiny, and they really looked like wimps compared to that defense on Seattle. A couple picks really disrupted Peyton Manning and that offense. Where do you rank the Seahawks in terms of their defense, or were you even surprised at how well they played through 60 minutes?
It was amazing. It was awesome. I'm not a huge football guy, but anytime I watch sports, whether it's hockey or baseball or football, I love watching the kind of the technical side of it, and to watch that defense pick them apart was unbelievable. Those guys were in sync. They made no mistakes. There was no flaws. There was no downtime at all. Like, those guys were they were sharp, man. It was pretty awesome.
It looked like Seattle came prepared. And, you know, they had 2 weeks after the NFC win against San Francisco. And if you have a coaching staff as big as Seattle's, and they caught every Peyton Manning cadence as well as hand signals. That's what they were saying after the game. So they knew exactly what he was going to come with. And Seattle was prepared. 11 seconds in, football gods definitely weren't going to shine on Denver. And you kind of had that feeling after that snap goes over his head, this is going to be a long day for Peyton. Seattle's defense looked as good as the Bears back in '85.
Okay, and that goes to my next question for you guys. Where do they rank amongst the greatest defenses, or perhaps, if you just want to simplify it, defensive performances in a Super Bowl?
I think for sure that you know, I wouldn't be able to rank them among the greatest defenses ever, but just because I don't know the sport that well, but they were unbelievable this weekend, that's for sure, and I think they solidified themselves as definitely one of the top defenses going right now, because to shut down an offense like Denver and a guy like Peyton Manning, and that's pretty big feat.
If you look at what Ray Lewis did in Baltimore with that team, and really Baltimore won Super Bowls with no offense. Like, really, they had not a decent running back, but not a great running back, and their defense won championships for them. You know, Seattle's pretty well the same way. You know, if you look at their defense compared to Baltimore's, very similar. I think more their defensive back, or their defensive secondary is a lot stronger than Baltimore. So I compare in the last 10 years, probably one of the best defensive you've seen in the NFL.
Okay, what about the Seahawks overall? Their offense looked pretty solid, especially with a second-year guy like Russell Wilson. Where do you see him evolving as the years go along? Second year, was he a third-round pick, fourth-round pick?
He's going to make a whole lot more money.
In the 600-some thousand.
Yeah, he's making $700,000 right now. You don't think his agent's going to be knocking on the door of the Seahawks going, you got to pay up, you know, just like that Tom Cruise movie. Show me the money. It's going to be showing the Seattle, and a whole lot of players on Seattle's roster. They're going to get looking for
a nice pay raise.
Pay raise, yes, definitely.
He's got an awesome story too. I saw a segment the other day, and they were talking about the first time he met Peyton was at one of Peyton's quarterback camps or whatever in the summer, about 7 or 8 years ago when he was 15 years old, and so it was kind of cool to hear him talk about how much of, even though him and Peyton are totally different quarterbacks, you know, how much of the preparation side and that stuff that he took from Peyton, and the way that Peyton prepares and everything like that. So, like you say, yeah, he'll be making a lot more money next year, and hopefully it's not a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, no kidding. The pay, obviously, there's a big discrepancy from the under $1 million he's making, the 6 figures, compared to Peyton Manning 17.5. But if there's one equal between both Manning and, of course, we're talking about Russell Wilson, is that Manning and Wilson both have 1 ring. Peyton Manning, 1 and 2 now in a Super Bowl. Where does his legacy lie?
You know, unfortunately, in the sport, and you know it, it's all about results. You could have a great season, put up tremendous numbers like he has, Hall of Fame numbers, really.
Best season, coming off of best regular season
Yeah, but what
ever.
did you do at the final game? That's what they're going to judge you. At the end of his career, they're going to say he put up these numbers, he has the most in the NFL history for this, this, and that, but he only has 1 Super Bowl ring. You know, that's where he's going to be judged for. And unfortunately, as great as he is, he's going to be judged for what the championships he has won and championships he has not won.
But isn't that a little bit unfair? He is a champion. You can understand if he hasn't won, but I mean, he is a Super Bowl champion. That's not going to hurt.
No,
but
that's not going to hurt.
It sounds like it will.
He did win a Super Bowl, and yeah, he probably could have won a couple more, you would have thought, with the numbers and stuff he's put up. But I think he's just created such a name for himself, and he's done so much regular season-wise and stuff that I just can't see, you know, his name ever being anything smaller than it is now. He's always going to be a Hall of Fame guy, and he's always going to be, you know, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game on just everything he's done, you know, to previous to this.
You look at Jim Kelly up in Buffalo, great career. Unfortunately, he was on the Bills, and they knocked on the door for a lot of Super Bowls. Did he win? No. Is he a great quarterback? Yes.
Deserve the Hall of Fame now. That's
Yes,
for sure.
exactly.
And speaking of which, we'll get to that later in the show, but also his favorite receiver, Andre Reed, also getting a nod to the Hall of Fame. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about Steven Stamkos. Will he or won't he be a part of Team Canada's roster? And we'll ask these 2 guys about who they think could replace him coming up in this interview.